So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview, recorded live on blogtalkradio.com from the new Media and American League Baseball, capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. I have a lot of respect for the practitioners of public relations services. Publicists are responsible for many of the interviews that you hear on Mr. Media. They're either pitching their clients to me or I go to them seeking their clients. And in this show's third year, I feel like every day I'm either getting schooled in PR 2.0, the web iteration of public relations, or getting spanked by it. So I'm feeding a personal curiosity by inviting today's guests, Brian Solis and Deirdre Breakenridge, on the show. Together they are the co-authors of a new book, Putting the Public Back in Public Relations, How Social Media is Reinventing the Aging Business of PR. Now, separately, Solis is the principal behind FutureWorks, a PR and new media agency in Silicon Valley. And Breakenridge is president of PFS MarketWise, a New Jersey-based marketing communications agency. Deirdre and Brian, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Thank you very much.
How are you guys?
Very good.
So I need to know, who was it that took the public out of public relations? Are the police looking for them? And most importantly, is Dick Cheney involved in this at all?
It was an accident. The shotgun didn't mean to fire, but it was PR who took PR out of it, to be honest.
That's right. It happened over a long course of time.
Oh, it didn't just happen yesterday?
Nope, it's been happening for a very long time.
I see. All right. Well, I actually had I was thinking about this. I had a PR 2.0 moment, at least I think it was, just last Friday. Christine Cube at the PR Newswire reached out to me and spent time explaining her company's service and customizing its news feeds to what was appropriate to Mr. Media rather than throwing everything in the kitchen sink at me. Does that qualify as a PR 2.0 moment?
Well, it partially qualifies. I think there are many different moments that make up what puts the public back in public relations.
I was impressed, frankly. People in PR don't always get credit for a lot, but I was actually impressed that they, first of all, that they sought out Mr. Media, and then that they wanted to tailor what they had.
And it's true. That's what's great about PR 2.0. It's tailoring and really finding out what people need from you and then delivering that, which is very different than the broadcast PR of the past.
Yeah, just to kind of chime in there, I guess it's the difference between publicity and public relations. Oh, okay.
Let's see, we'll clarify that. What is the difference between the two for those of us who obviously are too dumb to know?
Hey, not everybody can enjoy a mimosa right now like I am, and I have an edge on everyone.
You're very lucky, Brian.
Wait a minute, is that PR or is that publicity? Yeah, that's actually probably self-defamation, but no, in all honesty, the public relations, or PR, let's just say, has really focused mostly on the last, several decades on publicity, and that was just generating visibility through a top-down, one-to-many approach, right? We write a press release, we blast it to hundreds of reporters, we hope that those reporters would then cover it and then ultimately reach our audiences. And now public relations is really affecting everything, and that's just because of the social web, and that's about engaging with people directly. I call it, D2C, direct to consumer. There's also the idea that public relations now is sort of intersecting with not just, publicity as we know it, but also customer service, product development, community management, brand management. I mean, these are all things that are affected by the social web, and our roles are sort of emerging to deal with all of that stuff.
And so, go ahead.
I was just going to say what's also interesting. So you have this change in our approach where, as Brian said, it used to be PR was synonymous with maybe the media relations or the news release writing, where now we can reach out to so many different people and stakeholders and customers directly. So the approach changes, but it's also that change in not trying to control the communication and to really have that transparency and to humanize the communication, which is so important on behalf of the brands.
What exactly? And I guess Brian, you're credited with the term PR 2.0. What is PR 2.0, and how is it different from the way Ivy Lee and Edward Bernays imagined it, or imagined PR in the early 1900s?
Yeah, well, PR 2.0 sort of probably brings us closer to what they envisioned in the first place. I mean, if you read a lot of their work, they really brought in psychology and sociology into a lot of it, sort of understanding the dynamics of human behavior and communication. Where we split is they were using it as a way to manipulate action, and we are using it as a way to sort of build relationships and foster communities, because people are sort of buying into the whole, the evangelist or the ambassador approach. So PR 2.0 was basically just leveraging the tools that are now available today as a way of sort of identifying who those people are that we need to reach, what they're saying, how they're communicating, and then also building sort of like a communications bridge back to them in order to sort of embrace the new era of influencers, as well as sort of cultivate them in a way that sort of works towards our advantage. Sort of shaping perception instead of controlling it.
Okay. And what is it that now, you have to help me a little bit here, but I'm thinking that it's mostly CEOs who tend to make the decision on what public relations to use, whether it's in-house or outsourcing, who to hire, when to hire. What is it that they misunderstand or get wrong about PR in the Internet era?
Wow. And Deirdre.
Now remember, you have somewhere to be in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think we cover that on pages 1 through 312 in the book.
Right.
You don't mind giving that all away here now in the next 10 minutes, do you?
No, it really comes down to the top-down sort of illusion that we were in control, or CEOs are in control, and therefore everything that they do or say or manage is sort of around that basis. So it goes to everything from, what is that program? How are we going to build it in-house, or are we going to hire an agency? And then, therefore, what are they going to do? Or the press releases that they write, the messages that they push, it's all coming from top down. When PR people write press releases today, I mean, just as a rudimentary example, they're writing it for the CEO and the product team, not necessarily the people who ultimately need to read it and get something out of it. So it's a totally backwards phenomenon that is, and that's the whole idea and premise of PR 2.0, is that it's sort of reinventing itself to be more meaningful and significant. I guess, kind of what it should have been in the first place.
Definitely. From the news releases to all of the web content, even when you're developing your website, understanding that you're putting information there for people, what they need, and what's going to help them to make a purchase decision. And I think also for CEOs, they've lost a lot of trust in the PR professional and its function. And that's what we're trying to gain back, where we've sort of left a bad taste in the boardroom. So it's so important that, PR people become champions. And really work hard to listen, learn, and understand the social media so that they can better help and educate their companies and CEOs and get the right expectations.
Do you guys still find executives who don't personally understand, or who personally don't use a computer and the Internet? And if so, and I know that there's still some out there, can you even do business with people like that in an era dominated by social media?
That's such an awesome question.
I'll ask it again if you like.
Yeah, no, that was so good. I'd like to replay that a lot. I think, and Deirdre, maybe I'm not alone on this, but I actually try to do business with people I feel I can be successful with, and I think any public relations person has to have that filter. It's not about just taking any kind of work. It's about doing the work where you feel you can make an impact, and that's, everything has to start with that belief that you are an expert, or the understanding that you are an expert in what it is you're representing. If you're working with a CEO who's just not bought into the web at all, there's just a very limited opportunity for you to be successful with them, especially if you're out on the forefront of the new, generation of PR.
Definitely. And there are all different levels of acceptance in industries. And I think if, Brian, maybe you agree with this, if you see potential if you know that a company is making some strides, they're going a little slower, dipping their feet, maybe starting with some simpler RSS feeds off of their website and maybe doing some internal social media, testing it out before they do external communications. If you see that potential there, then you want to work with them and help them and foster their growth in the right manner.
Are you guys still finding people who are not online, who say, "Oh, I have a secretary for that. I don't type. I don't do that kind of thing"?
Actually, I'm not. I'm finding, that category of the laggards that doesn't exist in my realm. I'm sure it does exist, but the folks who are approaching us pretty much, they get it, or they want to try something new, or they want to know why they should be in social media, help us figure out how it works into the rest of our marketing communications program.
Yeah, definitely. I agree wholeheartedly with that. I mean, I live mostly in the technology startup realm, so I mean, these are the guys that are showing me what's next and what to do. So.
That's right. You're fast-paced.
So yeah, but I mean, understandably, those men and women are tuned into this, but the big bulk of the market out there is people who are not necessarily in the business, so to speak, as they would say in Hollywood. I mean, are they getting it? Are they connecting? Or are they just oblivious?
If I could jump in, I think that a lot are getting it. If you take a look at the healthcare industry and pharmaceutical, I think they're getting it, but, regulations, legal, just makes it tougher in some cases. So I've experienced that.
I can think of a CEO, and I'm not going to mention the name, I'll get in trouble, but I can think of a CEO and founder of an international business, billion-dollar business that works with the public, but he does not use a computer, does not use the internet, relies on his assistant to filter things for him and say, this you should do, this you shouldn't, and people around him, marketing, publicity, public relations, are just completely frustrated with it, but it's not going to change. They have to wait until they go Generation 2.0 at that level in that company. So that's why I was kind of curious. I know it's less common now than it was 5 years ago, because I do work with a lot of CEOs. I write books for CEOs, so I know there's fewer now than there were, but it's still shocking how many.
But it's still there. Yeah, that is shocking.
And these are the people ultimately are going to sign off on whether to hire someone like you guys. So, that's a little scary.
But
let me, that's what I mean. So let me ask you this: what companies can still get by using PR 1.0?
Yeah, that's dictated by the people that they're working with. Meaning that if you're trying to reach people who are not active online or within social networks, for example, chances are that you can still kind of get by. But at the very least, let's just take online out of this and let's just bring relationships in general, right? At the very least, what we're talking about here in this book is the idea that regardless of the tools or regardless of where those mediums and the messages are delivered, that this is really about relationships and stopping the entire process of forcing a press release out to the masses and trying to get your stories told, because you can still contact a reporter or an analyst and have a meaningful conversation in a way that gets the story told. Instead of trying to push, this corporate messaging at them and hope that they pick up, between the lines in order to write something about it. So, online aside, it really is about slowing down and doing a one-to-one approach, which seems like total common sense, but it's just not the practice.
What are the biggest mistakes that companies make in trying to understand PR 2.0?
I'll jump in, and Deirdre, I know you have a list of things too. I think the big mistake is underestimating it. I think that it all starts with assuming that there is this level of control, and that by participating in the social web that you're relinquishing the control, and it's just going to lead to havoc and chaos. So therefore, they either don't do it, or when they do, they take the same sort of processes and methodologies that they use in today's marketing approaches and use it on the social web. So they're pushing things. They're not being transparent. They're hiding things. They're using blog posts to, push sales messages, and it doesn't resonate at all. In fact, in many cases, it actually creates a lot of pushback.
Definitely. And Brian, just to add to that, because the flip side of, being frightened to relinquish the control, which really they haven't had for a long time if their brand is out there, is the fact that some companies, and I'll note a recent example, I believe it was Skittles, that changed their homepage into a wiki and, really just jumped into social media without knowing what they were going to get into. And before they knew it, they had folks who were saying some things that they definitely didn't want published for the rest of their customers and for the world to hear. So they had to pull down that site. So it's sort of this fine line that you have to walk. You know that if you put your fingers in your ears and pretend it's not there, that's not going to help you. But at the same time, you want to have the right program that's going to allow you to go about it the right way. And I think we touched upon it before. You have to make sure that you're listening and observing and paying attention to the culture, and that's really going to help you before you jump in.
And how important is search engine optimization, SEO, to public relations efforts by companies and certainly by practitioners?
I think it's absolutely critical to everybody in every discipline for an organization because it is the formula that increases your visibility when people go to search, and that is just to give you an idea, Google's number one, YouTube's the number two destination for keyword search, and that the point is that if you're not optimizing your content, based on how people are searching for information, then you're off the radar screen. And there's the new era of media is also ushering in what we call social media optimization, where there's the level of work you need to do on the traditional web for search, and then there's also the work you need to do to increase visibility within social networks. So, for example, YouTube, you can do all you want for SEO, but without the right SMO, your videos aren't necessarily going to get any traction within a community of millions and millions and millions of videos. So it's a different art and but with the same sort of principles.
I agree completely.
What is SMO?
So social media optimization, like if you go to Delicious or YouTube, it's powered by whether it's powered by people it's all powered by people, but whether it's crowdsourced or relying on the person who's uploading the content, you can tag things with keywords. It's all in your titling. It's all in your descriptions. It's all in the links that you include to other people. These are all the things that sort of increase the visibility within each respective network.
I kind of wondered if SEO had gotten a bad name for a lot of people because they get spammed with so much that claims to be SEO, and I think a lot of people just get they're just they just set it aside in their minds because it's just in my mind anyway it's connected more to spam than anything practical.
Hopefully, those practicing SEO usually tie sort of that content with search, so it's less invasive, less intrusive, and just more related to the practice of someone searching for content and then getting results.
Right.
And what about things like Twitter and Facebook, Ning, Ping FM? Do they provide real business solutions for public relations, or are they just fun toys to play around with?
Oh, I definitely think they're more than fun toys. I mean, they of course, personally I get enjoyment out of Twitter or Facebook, but they definitely can serve a purpose for businesses. And businesses are using them so that they can get research. It's part of a customer service effort. So they really are keying into what their customers are saying and how can we make our products and services better and listen and help people.
Yeah, well said. I mean, there's a lot of talk right now that Twitter search is going to either replace or seriously transform Google search because the level of traffic that's going to Twitter search to listen to these conversations and the keywords and identify this new era of tastemakers, the people who have thousands of followers on Twitter, that it is more in line with a human-curated conversation than searching in Google where SEO is manipulated. So Twitter is pure, and if you're trying to find results related to specific keywords, Twitter is a real powerful tool for businesses in that regard.
Do you have to? Can people figure out how to use these services on their own, or do they need high-powered, high-priced help to do it?
There's no shortage of high-priced, maybe not high-powered social media experts out there helping people to do this. But at the end of the day, it's you get the most out of it from doing it on your own. It is easy enough to figure out once you're ready to embrace it. There's more cynicism, I think, involved with getting to that. That's the initial hurdle, or this sense of overwhelming. There's just too much to do. There's too many networks. I don't know where to start. So having someone to kind of come in and point things out is fantastic, but there's no shortage of people who've been out there writing about this for years. I've been writing about the social web for a long time. I mean, and I give it all away. Everybody gives it all away. So there's a lot of resources out there for people to kind of get out there and read and practice without having to pay people, anywhere from $500 an hour to, $5,000 for the day rate to get people to, learn how to use Twitter.
That's right. It is fairly simple to learn. And I actually did this little Twitter poll over the weekend where I was asking people, how they learned about Twitter, and then once I started talking to them, how they actually got involved. And most people said that they learned from a friend or a peer, and now they were tweeting away. They did it on their own, which is really great. It says that the media is easy to use, and it is less expensive. And, of course, in this kind of economy, I think that's what businesses and people are looking for.
Are there social media services that have failed to produce all that they've been hyped to do?
Social media services meaning people or
no,
networks?
I mean the networks. I'm sorry.
Actual networks.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a yes or no answer to that question. I can tell you that people assume that the most popular social networks are the networks where they need to sort of build social media strategies as a way of engaging their community. And I could tell you that it's the reason why I came up with a conversation prism, a few months back, because I wanted to visualize all of the quote unquote popular social networks out there that no one even knows about, and that to paint the picture that your community is here somewhere, just probably not where you think it is, and the only way to figure that out is to go out there and listen, type in the keywords that are important in business in each of these networks and build a social map that's related to your brand. And so it's not that the services aren't working per se, it's that the people aren't using the services as a way of building better communities. And I can tell you, in all honesty, almost 100% of the time when I do this work for companies, Google and Yahoo groups come up as one of the leading sources of conversations for these people over Facebook, over Twitter, and that's Web 1.0. So it's not that the networks are failing per se, it's just that we're not using them the right way.
Right. I think people just need more direction, like Brian said.
I was curious about that. I've been using Ping lately, Ping.fm, and the social networks on there, and I actually went through and joined a lot of networks that I was not previously in. But I just kind of, I don't know, some of them I just don't see a lot of people using, or people that I know using, and maybe it's a highly specialized thing. Like, I know that if you go into, not Bebo, what's the Google network that's mostly in India?
CRUD?
Yeah, I mean, right. It's like, I guess if you have to really understand what these networks are about. You're not going to take an elephant gun.
Yeah, well said. I mean, the truth is that not every network is going to be sustainable. In fact, there's just such a great amount of innovation taking place right now that they're laying the foundation for the next big thing, right? So, one of the jokes here in Silicon Valley is that FriendFeed, which is probably one of the most useful networks for hosting online conversations because it sort of aggregates all of this content from around the web. So like, you have this live stream of your Facebook updates, your Twitter updates, your YouTube updates, and people can comment on all of those things. And it's a wonderful solution, but the joke is that FriendFeed is Facebook's R&D department because everything that FriendFeed introduces is now on Facebook.
Right.
Oh, how sad for FriendFeed. Well, I'm just looking at the time, and I want to give each of you a chance to pimp your individual companies and skills, if you like, since you're in public relations. It seems appropriate. So, Deirdre, I want you to go first. What is your particular area of specialization with public relations and marketing?
I would say what we're doing right now is we're helping companies understand how they can best approach social media and incorporate it into their campaigns. So whether they're traditional, moving into social media, or companies that still need media relations, analyst relations, but what works best with social media outreach with customers directly. And we're also doing a lot of internal campaigns and platforms. So we're working with some large companies in SharePoint to show them how they can use these resources creatively to better have employees collaborate, to be more productive. So we're seeing a lot internally because companies are testing it internally first before they take it to the outside. And, of course, they want their employees to be evangelists as well.
And what category or what industries do you service the most?
We service technology, HR. We're also working with healthcare quite a bit, and we do retail. Okay.
All right. Healthcare probably on the up, retail not so much these days.
Yes.
Brian, your turn. What is your particular expertise?
I dabble in a lot of experimentation with traditional and new media, and have started this company dedicated to that since 1999. And it's now that social media is becoming sort of a much widely recognized phenomenon. I'm doing a lot of work now with bigger brands who want to sort of be as nimble or groundbreaking as some of the startups that I've worked with for a long time. So we're building sort of influential programs for like Anheuser-Busch or Cisco now, where we're basically becoming community managers and research librarians, finding the conversations and building bridges between, those influencers and the people within the organization to sort of connect and build these communities. We're also building a lot of social tools and applications and communities for these brands to sort of host a lot of this dialogue. Like, for example, we created an online dashboard for Budweiser for the Super Bowl, where we brought in all of these disparate presences and online conversations into one place. So that way, consumers could have one destination to go to sort of get the behind-the-scenes footage on all of the the commercials that they shot. Meet the horse trainer, see the Clydesdales, back at the ranch. A lot of fun and different things that are getting the word out there, and as well as good old-fashioned day-to-day media and blogger and influencer relations, and building communities of customers.
And last thing, because I know you have to go, if you could each give us 2 takeaways, 2 lessons from the book that you think you want to pass on, and of course these would be good because it'll tease people into wanting to go out and.
I would say one of my favorite and most important lessons is, it's about you. So the difference, and Brian, this is something that we discussed on our last seminar, whether it's PR 1.0 or 2.0, it all starts with the practitioner and your ability to want to learn and to change and to guide people and to educate them. And it's really, the knowledge that you learn being in the social web and you are a content producer is how you're going to educate other people. So, the days of just sitting back and talking about it, that's not going to work. You really have to dive in yourself and understand it in order to bring it to your brands and to help them. So that's one of my favorite takeaways.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is about empowering individuals to make better decisions, not just for themselves but also for the brand that they represent. At the end of the day, if they're in the wrong job, this is their chance to get out and go do something that they're really passionate about elsewhere. And it really is about you. The other big takeaway is that there are no experts really in any of this. We're all learning together. This is in the whole grand scheme of things, this is all brand new, and it's changing everything from not just publicity and public relations, but also customer service and product development and analyst relations. It's flipping everything on its head, and as well as affecting those people that we held on a pedestal for decades, and that is the media, right? I mean, every day there's another story about newspapers going out of business or bleeding money. Broadcasts, trying to figure out how to keep people engaged, on television when everybody's flocking to the web, or how advertisers can't seem to connect with people anymore because their commercials are getting fast forwarded because of the TiVos and PVRs. Everything is just completely disrupted. So it's not too late. That's the big takeaway. This book helps everyone, regardless of how much of an expert you believe you are, or how much you believe you have to learn.
Well, let's hope that we can still keep. Maybe we can't have all the media up on a pedestal, but maybe we could just leave Mr. Media up there just a little bit longer.
Of course.
Well, folks, you can order Brian Solis and Deirdre Breakenridge's book, Putting the Public Back in Public Relations, How Social Media is Reinventing the Aging Business of PR, at great bookstores everywhere, or online at mrmedia.com or amazon.com. And check out their websites, www.briansolis.com and www.deirdrebreakenridge.com. And yes, I will even spell that, DeirdreBreakenridge.com. I would have just gone db.com. I think that's got to be kind of a lot.
Right, that'd make it difficult.
But thank you both for being on the show. I hope maybe we can get you back sometime with a little more time to spend, and we can. I didn't even ask for calls because I knew we only had so much time today, but love to have you guys back, and wish you a lot of luck with the book. I guess today's the big day, right? Yeah,
today's the official launch. We have the social media release posted on Pitch Engine.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Well, and we'll send you guys the audio player from today's show, and you can use that as well. But thank you both very much for being on the show, and much good luck with the new book.
Great. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. You guys take care.
You too.
Bye-bye. And folks, for more Web 2.0 related interviews, surf over to our main website, www.mrmedia.com. That's where you can listen to my earlier conversations with Guy Kawasaki, Dave Hagan, CEO of Boingo Wireless, Barry Liebert, founder of mzynga.com, Rick Calvert of Blog World and New Media Expo, Laurel Tooby of MediaBistro.com, and many more. And please think about writing an online review of Mr. Media, casting a vote for Mr. Media, or marking Mr. Media as one of your favorites, whether you listen on Blog Talk Radio, MySpace, Pointer Online, FriendFeed, Orkut, Bebo, High Five, Tag, Multiply, Zanga, Yahoo, NetVibes, DigitalJournal.com, Podcast Pickle, Vox, Folio, Mediafly, Podfeed.net, Blueberry, Zencast, or Odeo. You get the idea. You can hear the show everywhere. Subscribe to Mr. Media on iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Just search Mr. Media Interviews from within iTunes and subscribe for free. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many locations. If you've got an idea for a guest, email me directly at bob@andelman.com. That's ANDELMAN. You can also follow me on Facebook or on Twitter, www.twitter.com/Andelman. Thanks so much for joining us today. Always appreciate when you give up a piece of your day to come spend it with us. Come back real soon, everybody. Bye-bye.